Okay, I want to talk about William Barr again today. I know we've talked about him already this week. William Barr has a new book. William Barr is Donald Trump's former attorney general, and in the book, Barr makes all sorts of explosive claims, and he's been doing some interesting interviews. Now, I want to make sure my position on Barr is clear. I believe his stories are all true. I don't think William Barr is making up the stories that he tells about Donald Trump, and we're going to listen to another completely wacky one in a moment. That being said, I see Barr as just as much of a problem as all of these other Trumpian clowns. And Barr even said yesterday that despite all of the stuff that Trump did that Barr finds completely disgusting, he would still vote for Trump over a Democrat in 2024 if Trump were the nominee. So the guy is still despicable. He's just trying to sell a book, but I do think he's telling the truth. And you have to hear the story that he told Brett Baer yesterday on Fox News. Barr describes a completely detached from reality Trump who in the aftermath of the 2020 election, when it was obvious to anybody with common sense that Joe Biden won and that Joe Biden would be president, Trump, according to Barr, genuinely believed he was going to be president for another 4 years. And we've said before, did Trump believe this stuff or was it just a grift? And by the end, it didn't really matter because Trump was still fundraising on the basis that he was going to fight the results and whatever. It didn't really matter whether Trump believed it or not. But according to what Barr tells Brett Baer, Trump really did believe he had won and that he would somehow take the White House from Joe Biden. Listen to this.
Or unsettling moment for you in the administration?
It was certainly unsettling when I went in to talk to the president about the election, and he was livid and shaking and, showed a lot of temper.
Shaking.
And yelling. That was a little unsettling. But the other thing that was actually unsettling is later when I went in to actually give him my letter of resignation, he started talking about how he had actually won the election and how the machines were rigged and that he was actually going to be there for another term, and he was very confident of that. And I just felt this showed a detachment from reality that was stunning.
Completely disconnected from reality. I mean, again, I believe Barr, and what Barr describes there is a very delusional person. And any person thinking through the events of the Trump administration in understanding what William Barr is saying, Trump believed he won. And he believed he would somehow end up spending 4 more years in the White House. If he was that detached from reality about something so basic about the election's over. Biden won. Biden's going to be the president. You're going to leave. You're going to leave either by under your power or that of someone dragging you out. If he was that disconnected from reality about something so simple as how elections work, what else was going on where Trump simply didn't understand the nuts and bolts of what he was involved in? And of course, we have to assume the Putin conversations, the North Korea negotiations, all of these different things. When we hear Trump asked whether you could nuke a hurricane, well, he's just that disconnected from reality. That's how sick he is. Now, William Barr is no hero. As I told you yesterday, even despite all this, William Barr still told Savannah Guthrie she'd still choose Trump over a Democrat. And that's why we have to remember these people are like 98% in the cult rather than 100%.
You say in your book it's time for the party to move on from Trump. Liz Cheney has said he is not fit to serve and should not be ever near the Oval Office again. Do you agree with that?
Well, I certainly have made it clear I don't think he should be our nominee, and I'm going to, support somebody else for the nomination.
But if he is the nominee and you have your choice is Donald Trump or whoever's running on the Democratic side, would you vote for him?
Because I believe that the greatest threat to the country is the progressive agenda being pushed by the Democratic Party. It's inconceivable to me that I wouldn't vote for the Republican nominee.
So even if he lied about the election and threatened democracy, as you write in your book, it's better than a Democrat.
It's hard to project what the facts are going to turn out to be 3 years hence. But as of now, it's hard for me to conceive that I wouldn't vote for the Republican nominee.
A threat to democracy. A threat to democracy, unfit to serve, delusional detachment from reality. And yet I would still vote for the guy because it's better than a Democrat. Just as a couple of reminders, and I know some of you have seen these clips already. here is Barr saying he told Trump all the election stuff you're saying is BS.
And I told him that all this stuff was bull and about election fraud. And, it was wrong to be shoveling it out the way his team was. And he started asking me about different theories, and I had the answers. I was able to tell him this is wrong because of this.
You're trying to set him straight.
Yes. And he listened. He was obviously getting very angry about this. I said, okay, well, look, I understand you're upset with me, and I'm perfectly happy to tender my resignation. And then, boom.
He slaps the desk.
He slapped the desk, and he said, accepted, accepted. And then, boom, he slapped it again, accepted. Go home. Don't go back to your office. Go home. You're done.
Yeah. And lastly, also Bill Barr describing the clown show of lawyers, but he would still vote for Trump over a Democrat, guys.
And about election fraud. And, it was wrong to be shoveling it out the way his team was.
He also told Trump what he thought of his legal team. Not a lot.
I said, the reason you are where you are is because you wheeled out a clown show of lawyers.
A clown show?
Yeah, clown car or something like that. I said, it's just a bunch of clowns.
Who are you referring to? Rudy Giuliani?
His Cracker Jack legal team, among others.
Barr says the president shot back, listing the ways he said Barr had failed him.
Yeah. So anyway, he'd still vote. So I believe every single one of these stories. I do. But Barr has not had some kind of awakening back to common sense or whatever. At the end of the day, if it's Trump versus, it sounds like any Democrat, despite the dangers that Barr has associated Trump with, danger to democracy, unfit, all this stuff, he'd still vote Trump. And that's why it's just a reminder. These are not people we can count on to help us do anything. One of our sponsors today is IMI, the world's first low-carb, high-protein, 100% plant-based instant ramen. IMI has only 6 net carbs, perfect if you're doing keto or low-carb. Unlike regular ramen, it has 21 grams of protein, helping you feel fuller longer. 18 grams of fiber, that's 4 times more than most other ramen brands. And IMI also has 35% less sodium than competitors, so you don't get that bloat and thirst. IMI uses only high-quality ingredients. They don't use a lot of preservatives that many other ramen brands use. I love making IMI ramen as a snack, just like any other instant ramen. You put it in the microwave, ready in a few minutes. I love adding green onion and mushrooms to it. IMI comes in spicy beef, tom yum shrimp, black garlic chicken. I've tried all 3. They're all delicious and they're plant-based. Right now, IMI is giving my audience $5 off when you go to IMIEats.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.